All right, we are live. Holy smokes. Briong, I'm just, it's been a long time getting here. Even when we decided, okay, we're going to do it, we still couldn't do it. We were going to meet up Thursday, you and I both. So I think it was around 8:30 I left work
Oh, jeez.
on Thursday night. So I was like, okay, tonight's toast and then Friday's toast. So this is why we, not toast. You had the Laugh Again with Gaffigan. So
And that was a good show, by the way.
excellent. So this is why we shot for Thursday, so that we could aim, miss, and still have other opportunities. So yesterday, I'm trying to think of what happened, because I think I was lying down on a couch when I got back from wherever it was. We went to the Woodward Dream Cruise yesterday.
Nice.
So whenever we talked, you said you could do it right then, but then you were going to be going to your dad's house for apples, whatnot. Okay, so here's what happened.
I had an hour at that moment, roughly, and then I went up to their house. They made homemade cinnamon apples. And so when I came, I think I was probably gone for 2 hours. And when I got back, it was after 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, yesterday, the kids and I went to the Woodward Dream Cruise. And when we came back, the lawn needed mowed. So Wendy did half of it, so more than half. So, but there was something wrong with the zero turn. So I fixed it.
And you got out some scissors?
Yeah. Well, here's how dumb it was. It wasn't even broken. A tape measure had fallen into the mechanism and was just preventing you from being able to put the thing into reverse on one side.
Because of a tape measure?
A tape measure fell in just the exact right spot, but I believe she tried to use brute force to try to get it to work, because the tape measure is broken. It fractured the case, and now the two handles of the zero turn hit one another. They're supposed to be, you move them independently. They go past one another all day long. Now they hit when you try to move. So I think some real energy was put into trying to get that thing to move. So now I got to bend it back or something.
So the tape measure's toast, but is the zero turn going to be able to work again?
Well, yeah, the zero turn works, but the zero turn, the two handles hit each other every time you try to maneuver. So it's got to be fixed. So and yesterday, when we texted, I was lying on my back on the couch, and I knew I had to get a shower before I'd feel comfortable hanging out talking. I was like, oh, there's no way we can get all that done and have a full conversation within an hour. So just put it off to today. And then today, Paige had her 13th birthday party, had some friends over. So we had to get Parker out of here because it's a bunch of girls here for a party. So I took him to a friend's house, and I'm friends with his dad, and I haven't seen him in about a year. So we ended up hanging out for hours. He had a gun that wasn't working, so we experimented, took the thing apart, used a blowtorch on it and a bunch of stuff, and we made it more broken than it used to be. So
it had one of two ways it could go. You could either go bang bang, or
wah, wah.
It's already broken. So yeah, bang bang or wah wah. Exactly.
Yeah. Which, dude, that reminds me, I meant to write down a bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk to you about, but I didn't even spend any time putting that together.
You're just gonna have to wing it now, aren't
We're
you?
gonna wing it. Yeah. By the way, how much are you hearing of this chair squeaking when I'm going back and forth?
I don't hear any of the chair squeaking. I guess I have a similar question. Are you hearing my cat meow?
No.
Okay, because I'm hitting mute. He's in the room right beside me, and he's got a zoomies, so he's running back and forth playing with something. I think it's near the garbage can because he hit it and the lid opened, and he's talking what he does during zoomies. So I've been hitting mute in between, so you didn't hear him. So that's good.
Oh my goodness! Look at that light.
I think your light just just focused.
Well,
transported out of something.
It's been a year since we've done this, so this is new since Christmas. So I am now absolutely bathed in light. I mean, like I could get a sunburn here, literally just light everywhere. So I'm gonna see
you are nice and bright. I know you know I was having trouble with my lighting, so I took the lampshade off so you can actually see my face. But no, you are nice and bright.
I don't know why I didn't mess with this when you were doing your lighting, because I just noticed my entire face was washed out.
There, my lamp is literally beside me. Woo!
All right, this is about as good as I'm gonna get. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
So, now I got to remember what I wanted to talk about.
The world is currently on fire again.
Yeah, but it's not. Here's what I want to talk about. It seems like everybody is on one side or the other of every issue. Now, this has been true since the dawn of time. If you've got a situation, people will fall on one side of it or the other in how they perceive it in the simplest terms. You're going to be on the yes side, the no side, the positive side, negative side, the approve, disapprove. But it seems like
the elephant side or the donkey side.
Well, that gets me to where I'm headed, because it seems like never before, it's the same people who share this side versus that side in every issue, where it's no longer you're in a group of people and everybody's got an opinion, and their opinion could be on this side or that side. Now, depending on very often their political persuasion, you can guess how they think about things that shouldn't be political at all. You know, and I mean, this has been happening for a number of years on the Second Amendment, guns, that very clearly the Democrats took a position overall that is more restrictive of guns, and the Republicans took a position that is more celebrating. I'm going to say it's celebrating guns. But now it's stuff like we might as well get into it. COVID. That how is this disease, this virus, political? How did it become political? And how is it that everything having to do with it the way you respond to it depends on whether you consider yourself a liberal or conservative. I don't even want to say.
You are talking to the right person about that, because I think you and I have chatted before. I am the enigma wrapped in the riddle, because I am a registered Republican and I am fully vaccinated, and I couldn't give two craps who is and who isn't. So I am the enigma in that it doesn't matter to me. If you are, great. If you're not, great. But I am the registered Republican that's fully vaccinated, and when it's time to get the booster, I'll get that too. So from the get-go, I've not given a care in the world about the political side of this. I could never understand why it was politicized, but it was, because this broke out in the middle of an election year. Had it not broken out in the middle of an election year, I think it would have been different. Both sides chose to make it political. Therefore, the followers of said party, for the most part, decided to just get in line. There are people out there who are not like that. And I'm one of those people, and I know that I'm in the minority, but I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm in the minority. I just hope that my fellow Americans just use common sense. If you don't want to get vaccinated, just use common sense. And I think that's what we're all supposed to do. We're supposed to do what we think, in the guides of the law, and whatever religion you buy, whatever the case is, you're just supposed to do what you think is the right thing to do. And, it's kind of a live and let live thing, but it became political because it happened in the middle of a very hotly contested presidential election at the beginning of the election, and they both chose to make it political.
Yeah.
So because of that, they wound up the entire database, if you will, of voters.
Yeah. Now I'm very happy to hear that although you chose to get vaccinated, that you have a live and let live for other people, because this is one of the things that I sit back and stare in great wonder that, holy smokes, they found a way to make it my fault if you don't feel safe, right? That's what they're doing. They're saying unvaccinated people, because I'm choosing not to get vaccinated, that unvaccinated people are it is posing undue risk on everybody else. And before the vaccine was available, then there's real argument for that. But now we've got 4 vaccines, 3 readily available in this country. You get to pick, which one you want. I thought, oh, good. We've got vaccines available, so those who choose can get them, and we can get back to running the country as normal. But no, they found a way to have teams even now that a vaccine is available. And it is.
And by the way, they both found the way to do it. Both sides found the way to do it.
I know there are people on the conservative side who think that there is no COVID, and I'm not one of those people. I think it's been heavily weaponized on the Democrat side of
far more now. I think that statement is far more accurate now as time goes on. I believe the left is definitely more weaponizing it, but I think on the beginning the right did. So it's interesting to see how it is swayed back and forth on the spectrum, the political spectrum. But you're right. I think you're right. I think weaponized is a good word. I think it is that right now on the left side for sure.
So I've been watching what they've been doing in Florida, and I went down to Florida in January. I flew down at the end of January, visited a friend there. Wendy and the kids visited friends of theirs who were down there, and I went to multiple restaurants where you were asked to wear a mask to be waited on and everything. But there was no government mandate in Florida to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been, Florida has been celebrated by the conservatives. It's been maligned by the liberals. But I like the approach of, hey, you do what you want to do. But then the governor signed legislation that said municipalities weren't allowed to, within their own region, decide we want people to wear a mask.
And school
then I'm like,
districts. And remember when he said, if you believe his name is DeSantis, is that right? Yep. That's the governor? Okay.
Yep.
The governor said schools are going to reopen without masks. And if you mandate a mask in your district, I have the right to withhold your paycheck. Tell me that's not weaponized.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you just took all the credibility of being a you do what you want to do. We're not going to force anything. You're now just forcing the other direction.
That's right.
So why can't people just be left to make their own decisions?
I was talking about that. I was talking about that with Stacy, and I said, last Wednesday, I said, you know what? Since I'm going to have some college classes coming up, and we're getting into an explosion of the virus again, as all viruses ebb and flow. I mean, heck, we have a flu season in January, so all viruses ebb and flow. But I said to her, I think we should probably go to Dave & Buster's. This was this past Wednesday. She said, why is that? I said, well, I'm about to get busy, and I'm afraid that if the virus goes crazy in Pennsylvania, which it has not yet, but if it goes crazy in Pennsylvania, that there will be mandates that businesses have to close, and then they won't be able to survive. They'll end up being, we lost 1 in 5 restaurants during the first go around. So what'll happen in the second go around? And I said, I'm afraid the businesses are going to start closing permanently, and I'd like to go have some fun. We used to do that all the time. While we were on the way down, about an hour's drive, I said, I hope that our states will adopt a you do what you want to do. Excuse me, you do what you want to do. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. However, if you walk into a restaurant or a shopping, mom and pop store, gun shop, coffee shop, diaper shop, you name it. You walk into whatever insert business here. If that individual business owner has a mask mandate, don't fight with them. Don't punch them. Don't rip their mask off. Go to another store.
Yep. Yeah, it's like anything else.
That's what happens.
You vote with your pocketbook, right?
That's right.
You patronize businesses that match your ideals, and if yours don't align with them, then you don't start a fight with them. You go someplace that caters to you. You don't try to change. Isn't that what America's always?
Isn't that what America's always been about? Yep. Seriously, that's what America's always been about. So I don't understand why it's not. This is the time for America to be like that. This is the time for this country to say, this is what made us strong. Let's do this again.
Yeah. Now, the one thing about, I haven't heard any defense of why he's done what he's done, but I can imagine the defense being he doesn't want people's right not to wear a mask to be stifled by an authoritarian area within within Florida. But my feeling is it's up to that county's people to decide how to deal with a county government that tells them it wants them to wear a mask. Either they agree with it, in which case they're getting the government that they've asked for, or they disagree with it, and they're going to vote at the ballot box at the next election to get those people out of there. So I think it's a little heavy-handed for the governor to prevent individual counties from being autonomous. Right. You know, the people within that county voted for the people for the people who govern them in that county, and I think if they were voted by the people for that area, then let them rule themselves.
And isn't that another famous American thing? I believe on the right side, it's we don't want big government, so we don't want the federal government telling the states what to do. So we don't want the states telling the counties what to do. And we don't want the counties telling the individual municipalities what to do. That's why you have elected officials.
Yeah.
And you're right. It is strange. It is strange. Again, the ebb and the flow on the heavy-handedness, it really does go back and forth. And well, they're both pretty heavy right now, both pretty heavy-handed right now. So, but you know, back to the Dave and Buster's thing. When we were there, we both had our masks. We had them in our pocket, and the place was busy because it was a half-price night, Wednesday night. I like a good deal, so I like to go on Wednesday night, and it was right before kids were going back to school, and there was a birthday party there. That was as busy as I have seen a Dave and Buster's in years, and I was thrilled for that. But we also decided, in addition to playing, we also decided to eat there and then go back to play. We had our masks, and there were other people wearing masks, and there were people that were not. In my opinion, that's the way you can have your cake and eat it too. Now, are there going to be, I want to make sure I use the correct adjective. Are there going to be selfish people who are sick and maybe shouldn't be there, but are there out of spite? Of course there are. That's another famous Americanism. Of course there are. But if I felt that, if I saw and heard coughing and sneezing, I would just put my mask on. So it didn't get to that point. I did not wear it once. Now, when we went to the Jim Gaffigan show at the arena in Youngstown, which has 6,000 seats, I would say if you add the floor seats, there were probably 6,000 or 7,000 people there. When I was in the hallways, in the walkways, because it was pretty crowded, I had my mask on. But when I sat down in my seat, did not have my mask on, because the person to the right was my wife and the person to my left was masked. So I felt comfortable enough taking my mask off. You did not hear one person, no matter how much people watching you did, not one, you never heard the word mask once that entire night. Because they were all there for something else. They were there to have some fun. They were there to cut loose. They were there to feel good about that situation. And I would say maybe 25% of the people were wearing masks. Now, while we were waiting for the show, I got up and I walked around, and I did do kind of a recon. So I went, the building is a horseshoe. So I walked pretty much the duration of the horseshoe. And I would say in the concourse area where you had the large groups, maybe 20 to 25% of the people had masks or were wearing masks. Like they had them around their ear and they were up and down based on their situation. But I had mine on while I was doing that recon. figuring that would be a subject that we would be talking about at some point soon. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't understand. I mean, I get it. It's important, and everybody's individual beliefs are important to them. But I don't understand. I think weaponized is. I think that's an even better word than politicized. I don't know why it's as weaponized as it is. I have my beliefs, but I don't try to impart my beliefs on other people. Enough time has passed where I have enough data to feel comfortable about my choice, and that's fine. And I've never heard, and again, exception to the rule. I don't advertise it by saying my shot was here, on my shirts. But I don't, if somebody asks me or it comes up, I will gladly say, you know what, I'm fully vaccinated. Not one person has said to me, why? Well, why'd you do that? Nobody said a word to me. So I don't know if it's me, maybe that I do not, maybe I don't make it weaponized, but I've not had a negative reaction to my own choice and decision. So I think that's a positive for sure, considering as much nastiness that's out there right now.
Yeah. So I have not seen any of Gaffigan's latest stuff. Is he still only talking about Hot Pockets and his pasty white skin? Or has he moved on?
He did address his pasty white skin a little, but no Hot Pockets. And he even said on the Arena website, and then on his own website, it said new material. So there was some virus talk. He's usually very clean, very little swearing. He's not very political about stuff, but he did have a bit about organized religion in the U.S. And it was funny, and it drew lots of laughs, and it drew the occasional whoa. And then he'd be like, in his own way, he's like, "That's not very nice of you, Jim." In his own affirmation of character kind of way. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And I got the tickets on a Groupon. Once again, I like me a good deal. So
talking about going to stores that and masks and everything. I was in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago for our annual business trip out west, and last year it was in the midst of still very scary pandemic, no vaccines available. There were cities on fire, riots everywhere. There was actually a death in Aurora, Colorado, like a day or two before we went into Aurora, Colorado. And so we were navigating through some very scary territory when we went through last year. This year, there's a lot more calm, but one of the hotels we stayed at required you to have your mask on at all times. Now, this is a hotel with a casino built in where you're allowed to smoke. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, in Vegas. You're allowed to smoke, drink. The gambling is all over the place there in the casino. And I asked them, I said, but when they said you've got to wear a mask. Now, I'll tell you my position everywhere I went, I would have, like you said, I'd have the mask in my pocket. And if they required it and I was there because work demanded it, I would put the mask on. Now, there were a couple of places where they demanded it and I didn't have to be in there for work, and I just walked out. But the hotel, I thought it was interesting because their policy was you didn't have to have it over your mouth or your nose. but you had to have it strapped all the way across from here to here.
That doesn't make sense.
Whether you're smoking, well, because they wanted people to be able to smoke and drink. So they wouldn't serve you a drink. If you're sitting at the bar, they won't serve you a drink unless you've got a mask around your chin.
What if you just dangle it from your ear?
I didn't try having it only on one side, so that might have worked. Would have been mildly more comfortable, I guess.
See, I have some concerns about the masks. Not personally, but I'm about to start some graduate work, and one of the classes is on site, and the school just issued a mask mandate. I don't want to sit there for 4 hours with a mask on. I don't know how my teacher wife did it last year. She had to have a mask on all the time. I don't know how the students did it. I don't want to sit there for 4 hours with a mask on. So it's actually making me consider switching that class, because it's an elective, switching that class into a different elective that I can do online.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that I don't want to do it. I'm there for those 4 hours to learn. I'm there to get at least a B so I can graduate and have my company foot some of the bill. And I don't mind saying that, because if I get a B or above, they're gonna pay for a good portion of it. And in order to graduate a graduate degree, you have to have a B average or above anyways. So I'm there to get a B average or above. I want to get an A, but I don't want to sit there for 4 hours on site talking to people, breakout groups and projects and capstone this and like this. I can't hear somebody in a restaurant like this,
Yeah.
I just learned of the mask mandate, and I get it. There's a perfect example. That small private school is doing what they think is the right thing to do to allow normalcy, to have on-site in-person classes. But I don't, oh shoot, my battery's running low. I don't know if I want to be that person. So I'm looking to, because I still have a week to change. So I'm looking to decide about maybe a different elective.
Wow. Yeah. While we were on the trip, my company sent out an email from the COO saying everybody, whether or not you're vaccinated, has to wear a mask for under all circumstances on company business. So people at headquarters and people on trips, suddenly everybody had to wear a mask no matter what. And I came back. Now I've been working out of headquarters quite a bit because of where my project is in its timeline. It's just we have to be there. Normally, we're working from home, but at this point in the project, we've got physical properties. We got to be there. But just Friday, I went into a suite that I'm not normally in, and I needed a set of keys from to get into a storage area for a tool. And I'm talking to a guy there, and suddenly it dawned on me, I didn't introduce myself, because I know this guy. He knows me, but he was pretty standoffish when I first came into the suite. And I just pulled my mask down and I said, by the way, this is me, Kevin, under here. And he said, oh my gosh, I didn't know who you were. And I'm like, here, I thought I was pretty, and you can't tell it now, but I had a mohawk again for this year's trip out west. And I just take it for granted.
I can tell.
people recognize me if they know me. And when this guy didn't recognize me, I was like, oh my goodness, I should be, first thing every time I meet somebody, I should tell them who I am, so that they can put a name with the eyes, since they can't put a name with the face. They've got a, but literally for a year and a half, a lot of people that I work with, I have not seen them in a year and a half.
It's funny you talk about like he couldn't see you because you were masked up. More than one time, since things got a little bit more back to normal and now are sliding back the other way, I have said to more than one person, "Oh, it's nice that you're able to see my facial reaction. You're able to see me smile. You're able to see my reaction." I said, "I don't have to tell you in person I'm laughing, because you weren't able to tell unless your eyes actually changed their position. You really couldn't tell how somebody was reacting to you." But yeah, I have more than once I've said, "Oh yeah, it's nice to see. Oh yeah, I can see your reaction. It's nice." But here's my question. So you went into the suite, you saw this guy, he didn't know it was you, and he was standoffish. Now, forgive me, there's no, I'm not editorializing here. In case he happens to watch this video, I'm not editorializing. But why was he standoffish before he knew it was you?
Because it was 3 o'clock after 3 o'clock on a Friday. And I would find out later that he was getting his things together to leave, and he thought I was coming and was going to ask him to do something that was going to keep him there beyond the time that he had anticipated leaving. And then
who is Costanza and the project?
Yeah, but he did say, he's like, "Dude, I was planning on leaving at 2 o'clock, and look what time it is." So he explained that he had not intended to be in the office. I'm not saying not working, but not in the office. And that's the thing, when you've got to wear a mask all day long, like you're talking about 4 hours wearing a mask.
While you're trying to learn, yeah.
We are like sitting alone. Like this guy was 20, 30 feet from the nearest other person in a cubicle work environment. And it doesn't matter. I've seen people who are the only one in a 300 foot suite, and they're wearing a mask on a video call because it's the corporate policy. And so it's not just about the commute. I'm willing to work from work, but it's not a normal day at the office when you're wearing a mask all day long. And by the way, we've got to wear safety glasses too. So fortunately, I wear glasses all the time. I've got prescription safety glasses, so it's not that different for me. But other people, they're wearing these big old goggles and stuff because they've got to wear
cataract glasses.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have to wear gloves anymore, but last year on our trip, we were wearing gloves and sterilizing all the touch surfaces of the vehicles and stuff every time we went out to them. It's just that school, companies, businesses, they have to take every possible precaution because they could be held liable for whatever happens when people are on premises doing business on their behalf. And so the liability in America is crazy. The number
lawsuit business is still alive and well. We're a very litigious society.
Yeah.
Speaking of Las Vegas, I'll have to report this back to my dad. The buffet and restaurant options, has it returned to normal?
I cannot say that they're back to normal, but compared to last year you couldn't eat someplace after a little after 8 o'clock because they were
I
closed
remember
by
you telling me
9.
that. You had to travel to the next town to find a restaurant open because it was 8 o'clock in the evening. Now
Yeah.
that's crazy. Vegas is a big city. That's crazy.
Vegas closed down at 9 p.m., shut down. Yeah, so compared to last year, I want to say it's wide open. I don't know how many places. I know I looked for a couple of places that ended up being closed,
Mhm.
and it might have been closed because of lack of business, but I didn't see time restrictions like I did last year when
Gotcha.
we were there. Yeah,
I'll report that to him because he's ready to go. He's ready to go out there.
yeah. And I did go into California, but only a smidgen, just to get to Death Valley. So I don't even.
And it was like 130 degrees one day out there in the last week or two. They were close to. I think they were close to an all-time Earth recorded high temperature,
Wow.
with somewhere around 131 degrees or something like that. So
yeah, because I was talking to people on the trip. I was like, don't you think it's curious that we get our heat from the sun, and yet what's on the top of every tall mountain is snow?
yeah,
And Death Valley, the hottest place on earth, it's a valley. It's the farthest point from the sun. But no sooner had I, said that to somebody, but we go to a rest stop, and there's this plaque that explains why Death Valley gets so hot. It's basically a convection oven that the air heats, and because it's in a valley, it heats, it rises, it goes to a certain level, and then comes across to the other mountain, and it's just a cycle that it just keeps going around and around over and over again.
that's exactly what a convection oven is. Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah.
To when we were in Colorado Springs, this would have been in November, maybe. Would have been the end of November, maybe the beginning of December. It was pretty nice. I would say it was, I don't know, 40 or 50 degrees, for pretty nice for that time of the year. I think one day it got a little bit warmer than that. We went to Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak is, I can't remember its altitude, but I think it's something like 14,000 feet. So that's pretty high. I mean, that's one of the highest points in the continental U.S., I think, if not the highest. As you worked your way up, you got to a point where you were above the line where trees could no longer survive. Think about that. At some altitude, and I'm just going to say it's 9,000 feet. I actually don't remember what it is. But at some point, trees can no longer survive due to temperature. And I would assume light air, oxygen. I don't know. I don't know if it's just based on the temperature. But as we were winding our way up to the top, you pass that line. There was not one tree.
Uh-huh.
But the temperature dropped quickly. I mean, when you're climbing that, because they're all little corkscrew roads, as you're making the climb, you're climbing slowly. So you're not, it's not like you're driving straight up the side of the hill, but the temperature was dropping quickly because, all these cars have thermometers on them. The temperature was dropping quickly. So, and then we got to a point where trees could survive. And I was like, maybe we should go back down there now.